Good morning, Beitzah. לעילוי נשמת מרומים ruspas Mordechai. The Parnas HaChodesh, Shmuly Hecht, in honor of Dovid Zlatnik, F200. Akiva Sulkowitz, F94. The Sulkowitz has to learn these numbers. Balpeh. Flappers 94. Sholom Rand. Is Sholom Rand in the house? No. 202. Shmuly Davidowitz. Not Davidowitz. Davidowitz. B. 202. And the official 8-minute Daf Yomi committee by Refoel Grosskopf, Eli Stefansky, Parind, Mordechai Kranczer, Arya, Mordechai, נסתלק, לגנזי, מרומים, מוצאי, כיפר, תופשין סמך ד' זקני, רב הכהן זכרנו לברכה, נילבה. Amud Beis Tishrei, Tavshin Memtes. By Mordechai Kranczer, Aaron HaKoyin Kranczer, Mazel Tov on your Bar Mitzva. May you continue to follow in your father's footsteps and bring much nachas to the family and all of Klal Yisrael. Natig, success and parnasa. I love the short and sweet ones. In honor, Josh. Did you know somebody's sponsoring for you? Get over here, Josh. I don't know. Josh is a shy guy, but we're gonna have to. Over here, we work on the shyness. I know he doesn't want to. I might have to go over to you. I'm gonna have to go over to you, Josh.
He's not coming to you. You're gonna have
to go to you. You got the camera ready? I'm going to him. Going to my left. In honor of Josh, Taki Shiryangi. How do you pronounce your name? Hold on. Shalom Aleichem, Josh. You are hereby invited to my house for Shabbos. You coming for a meal? Okay, shkoyach. Who jumped on the MDY bandwagon and been fortunate to attend Shurim in person these last few weeks as his chos that he should find the shidduch. P.S. He'll be in RBS for Sukkot. So if Rebelli wants to have an interesting guest, he's never turned down a meal from all his loving friends. Shkoyach Josh. Sponsored by Mark Ashkenazi, a Gut Yar. My fellow Monsey Hatzoloh Guys won in on the hack. So a big shout out to the growing group of Monsey members. RH. What does RH stand for? Rosh Hashanah. Rockland Hatzoloh. Rosh Hashanah 144. Rosh Hashanah 170 ALS Medic. Rosh Hashanah 183. Yom Kippur 95. Rosh Hashanah 158. And me. I'm Rosh Hashanah 80. Beitzah. All Rosh Hashanah guys that want to be inspired to this year, Mark is sponsoring the free Gemaras for them. All the rest of the closet MDY Rosh Hashanah guys, time to chime up and call the base. Your favorite member, dispatcher, awaits you. Huh?
Just in case you were wondering.
Yeah. What? You're at Salah? You have a radio call? What is it?
RBS.
RBS.
There is no RBS. We just 8 numbers. No letters.
You guys are schwach because you're a small group. 81.
21.
From now on, Dr. Factor, 8121. Shmuly Hecht, by the way, the Parnas HaChodesh F245. Anyways, if anyone,
your number is 81.
You know, I get made fun of Adei Mazeh in Chicago. There's no Hatzoloh back in the day. And I was doing a wedding, I was a caterer. And I take a look and I see like a woman on the floor. Just so I didn't know what to do. Like I run to the mic. That's the only thing I did back then. I was in charge of the mic. I grab the mic. Is there any Hatzoloh in the house? Hatzoloh in the house? I'm like, there's no Hatzoloh in Chicago, dude. What are you? You're from New York. What's going on? Like it was like in Hatzoloh, yeah. What's the number of that? I don't even remember anymore. Fine.
What happened?
So some doctors got up and whatever.
A lot of doctors in Chicago. They may not be Hatzoloh.
I don't want to say the end of the Maisa. Rabbi say a little bit of an update. First of all, I want to read this. I ran back to print this email because I got at least 5 of these, and this one I liked a lot. So I went back home and I printed this. It says, "Please keep my name anonymous." That part I don't like. Dear Rebelli, a few days ago I tested positive for COVID. I guess it's not such a nice thing to have COVID, so he's anonymous. I was forced to daven Yom Kippur in my home. I dreaded this. I've never davened the Yichidus on Yom Kippur. I was afraid I would zip through the davening and have an incredibly unfulfilled Yom Kippur. I did the best I could with singing a few songs I can remember to myself. But everything changed when I reached the Avodah. For the first time in my life, the avodah actually meant something to me. I finally understood what I was reading. Yes, I read the English as well. This is all thanks to you and the MDY team. The charts from Yuma, especially the chart of the Beis HaMikdash they use in almost every shir, was seared into my brain. While my body was on my living room couch, my head was in the Beis HaMikdash. Thank you for making my Yom Kippur better than I anticipated. Hashem should bless you and all those around you for all the work you do. Anonymous. Beautiful.
Should have put his name in this thing.
And Yochanan Itzkowitz wrote something. He wrote that the first time in his life, Achaz v'achaz, it was seared in his brain, the blood on the Mizbeach, the 1, the 2, not stam a number, Achaz, it's a nice song. What? People that learned Yuma know what we're talking about. A bunch of people wrote to me. What? Oh, who? Rabbi Schoenberg.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah, everybody was thinking about it. Nachim Kvar. I'll tell you a story. For the new guys, so I went to the shul, the churva, and I'll just say it quickly because you guys already know the story. Real slow. There was a sewer back up in the churva, and in the churva they're grunics and they do not wear any kind of shoe or sandal or slipper on Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. And I used to do the same thing back in the day until I got a piece of glass stuck in my foot. So there we are. I'm watching these guys going to the bathroom. They had no choice. They go step right through the sewer back up. Fine. And then when it came Anachon Kayim, the grunics, they go all the way down. They don't do it on their knees. It's flat out. So I was so excited. It's going to be the first time in my life, flat out. So but the whole Beis Medrash, they do it in 2 shifts because there's too many people. First shift, I'm in the second shift. I get down and I'm Baruch Shem, smelly sewer sock right in my face. And that stopped the whole thing. So I was all excited. Yesterday, I sit next to the chazan, and I got my little spot there, and I'm not going to have a smelly sock. So I get down, the Gabi the shul decided to go help the chazan get up. Yuval Melamed. 2 shoes right in my head. Bam! I was like unconscious for 3 minutes. So wherever I go, I get something. Okay, fine. I told him. He loved it. He was laughing. Yeah. Zoktig, I just want to give you a quick update here. We have over 100 new guys that joined for Rosh Hashanah. But what's crazy is that 65 current members brought people in. That's very weak. That means only 35 people from other sources. 65. There's a lot of cheating going on here. Don't forget, Rabbi Isai, the way it works is you go growtheshir.com if you want to bring a friend, and what you can win is a full shas or the MDY tour. Nisan Gans, I guess he's sponsoring this by himself because he added another ticket. So now it's 2 tickets, father and son. Come to Eretz Yisrael and hang out with Nachman Seltzer. We're adding a few more things. You could hang out with Avi Mandelbaum and learn how to blow a shofar. What else do we have, David? That was it? There's a few more. Oh, seriously, you hang out with Rabbi Pessin. Rabbi Pessin is a big one. He's a big star here in the neighborhood, and he might even be able to bring you to Reb Chaim Kanievsky. So it's getting better and better, this trip. Dan Rubinoff brought some friends, Mordechai Rozowski, Tzvi King, Donnie Fine, Ovadia Berg, Hillel Friedler, Chaim Landsman, Shmuly Hecht, Moshe Rosenfeld, Yoel Bergman. Wow, you guys know who Yoel Bergman is. Daniel Green. Now, additional sponsors, unbelievable. By the way, you could pay up your Yiscure bills here. You young guys don't know what I'm talking about. But over here, mdysponsor.com. Wyman Family, 20 Gemaras. Aaron Bloomer, Ben Landy, 25. Donnie Sohan, Peretz Rappaport. Tom Moshe, Yaakov Soled, 1010. Jeff Friedman from Lincolnwood. I don't have all these. There's the very nice places. I don't have the list there. Yaakov Roth. Listen to this one. Yisucher Beirish Rothbaum. That's how he pronounces the name. 50 Gemaras. That's like $1,200 more. Saul Feldman. Anonymous. 50 Gemaras. Joel Gedalius. 8. Daniel Rosenberg. Parachias Sorsher. $180. Shkoyach Galam Ma'oy to all these guys. We're still missing about 35 grand. Not me. Nisan Gans. Do we have time for any more? Let me just read this because It's Negeya. I actually forgot a very important thing. So, anonymous, if you remember, so I forgot. His name is Joe Green. He wrote this email, and he says, I started to share on Erev Yom Kippur, but only managed the first Amud. So after Kol Nidrei Ma'ariv, I was tired. Although tired, I knew I needed strength. I sat down to try every night. I learned. Fine, he learned Amud Beis. As I spilled over to Yom Kippur's daf and learned the words about Yom Kippur, I felt a true kiss from above. It was amazing. First line on Monsey Yom Kippur talks about Yom Kippur. I finished the sugi, prepared my shul the following morning with deeper understanding of the pasuk. Tiku b'chay the shayfar. On a separate note, after I avoided, tears came to my eyes as I recalled all the amazing pictures from Yuma, which brought the story to life and could start to comprehend what it was, what we're missing. Having Yom Kippur without a Beis Hamikdash may be rebuilt b'karov. Thanks for your amazing shir and helping me keep up with the daf. Gut Kvittel, anonymous, if you remember. So yishkoyach. Now, what did we learn yesterday? That Mizonoisev Shaladam Ksuvim Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. So Yom Kippur, what's the lashon? Let's look inside because usually it's Rosh Hashanah, and over it says Kol Mizonoisev Shaladam Ksuvim Rosh Hashanah Va'ad Yom Kippur. So it's an amazing thing, but it also says here that one should be careful not to overspend. So there's a bir halacha here I want to point out, Taf Kuf Chaf Tes. And he says like this, very cute thing. The women shouldn't be listening now. A person should be careful what he spends during the week. Not for Shabbos. Rashi says here, right here on this Amud, you got to be careful from spending too much. Because in those days they didn't have credit cards. You get to the end of the year and all of a sudden you're stuck. So if you want to buy a nice car, you have to wait to the end of the year, see if you have money. If you don't have money, it might not be in the cheshbon. He says, in our days, we have to be really careful with this. And he's talking about 100 years ago. Today, even more so. They don't know how to budget their money. To get rid of the stuff you don't need. You don't need a fancy car. It destroyed people. It brings people to steal, to cheat in business, and to busha. Now here's the kicker. There's a lot of reasons. The biggest reason is I promise you, that's what he writes here. Women, the wives spend too much money, he says, and then the Chavetz Chaim says elsewhere that if a woman really wants to spend something, she needs to spend it. You tell her no, but he says there's a heter for Sholom Bayis to let her spend. But it's funny that even in those days, women with the credit cards, same issue. Moshe Hirsch, Yishkoyach for the beautiful Bar Merkaz. And this is an 18-page full of, you get to meet all different people. Akiva, it's always in here every week. But you have, if you want to see who Shlomi Klein is, here he is in the front. All right. Zok Tehele Gemar Daf. Today is Daf Yud Zayin. Tanu Rabbanon. I don't know if I should start talking about Sukkos. Yeah, Sukkos. Every single morning, Beitzah Hashem, in my Sukkah. Some people came over to me. Oh, you said I had a beer. No, you don't have to be in the Beis Medrash from Thursday. Just saying that it's better if the people are from the shir, people that listen to the shir. If you live in a frat and you want to come 100%, you should come. You don't have to be in the Beis Medrash. I was just saying, sometimes there's the freeloaders. Oh, there's a free breakfast. Yes, there's going to be 2 chefs every single morning in my Sukkah. Sukkah is 1,000 square feet. It's massive with waiters. It's going to be gevaldik with wine in the morning, pancakes, omelets, everything. So come one, come all. It's after Shachris Musaf over here in Bnei Yeshivas. I don't know, it's about 10:30. The schedule is different on Yontif. 8:30 Shachris. After Shachris, come to the Sukkah, we start eating, and then there's a shir in the Sukkah. If somebody, I'm sponsoring all the shirim besides, what's his name? What's the nurse's name? Benzi Novak. He's sponsoring one day. Is he here? I saw him in the morning. Here he is, Benzi! Get over here, Benzi! All right, we got to start. Zog the Gemara, Torah Rabbana. No. The shear is in my sukkah. You understood the omelet part, but you didn't understand the shear part. Nachamal. Shmuel Eliwat, get over here. Let me explain to you. There's no davening in the Bais Medrash, not early, not later. Oh, there's a 9 o'clock minute. Torah Rabbana. Fine, here we go. You guys could just, I don't know, this is like a 25-minute introduction. Torah Rabbana. Yontov shechal liyos b'Shabbos. You're getting what that? Beishama yoimrim mispalel shmoina. Okay, we know what we do, but it comes from this Gemara, and I think it's amazing, Rabbi. We're 2 days away from Sukkot, and we're discussing Sukkot. We're discussing the tefillah of Yontif. It's beautiful stuff. Yontif shechal liyos b'Shabbos. Yontif on Shabbos, what do you do? Beishama yoimrim mispalel shmoina. Typically on a Shabbos, how many brachas are there in Shemona Esrei? 7. 3 in the front, 3 in the back, 1 in the middle. Say Beishama, you add another bracha for Yontif. Oimer, Shel Shabbos b'fnei atzma, v'shel Yontif b'fnei atzma. It's a whole individual paragraph just for Yontif. Ubeisel oimrim mispalel sheva. So that's what we do. You say the regular, you say Vatitin lanu, Umatchel b'shel Shabbos, Umishsayim b'shel Shabbos, v'oimer Kedushas hayom be'emtza. So what you do is, you say Vatitin lanu, Esyoim Chag HaSukkos hazeh, but then you finish off Mekadesh HaShabbos. Rebbe Yomer, and Rebbe says, and this is how we paskin, Af Choisim Ba Mekadesh HaShabbos Yisrael V'Azmanim. Even in the end, in the bracha at the end, we stick in Yontif. It's not just enough to say Chag HaSukkos Hazeh. You also have to say Mekadesh HaShabbos, okay, that we do, Yisrael, V'Hazmanim and Yontif. So we stick in Yontif. That's what we do today. Tori Tana Kamei the Ravino. There was a Tana that spoke, a Tana, meaning the person that says over the brises, Mekadesh, like we had yesterday, the one that was blind, saying over the brises, another one. Mekadesh Yisrael v'Shabbos v'Azmanim. So, the Gemara is saying, HaShabbos Yisrael v'Azmanim. He's saying Yisrael v'Shabbos v'Azmanim. These two words are reversed. HaShabbos, what comes first? Shabbos or Yisrael, or Yisrael and Shabbos? Mekadesh Yisrael v'Shabbos v'Hazmanim. Omar Lei, so Ravina didn't like it. Otu Shabbos Yisrael mekatchelei, v'Shabbos mekatche v'kaima. So Shabbos was Kodesh from day one. Explains Rashi. On Yontif, you could say Mekadesh Yisrael v'Hazmanim, because Yisrael create the Zmanim. Yisrael, Klal Yisrael decides when Yontif is going to be, depending on the moon, and Bezin has to decide. So it's Yisrael v'Hazmanim. But over here, if you say Yisrael v'Hashabbos, there'll be confusion. People will think that Yisrael are the ones that are deciding Shabbos. No, Shabbos is first. Shabbos is from Sheshes Yemei Bereishis. Says Gemara, Elaima, Mekadesh HaShabbos Yisrael v'Hazmanim. So that's what we do. Mekadesh HaShabbos, first comes Shabbos, Yisrael v'Hazmanim. So again, now that we're saying the Shemona Esrei, in 2 days from now, we have a little bit of an insight to why it goes in that order. Mekadesh HaShabbos, Yisrael v'Hazmanim. Okay, we're not in 2 days, but on Shabbos. Omar Rav Yosef halacha kerebi, that you have to be maskir both. You mention Shabbos and Yontif at the end of the bracha. The Torah is Ravina, and like Ravina just explained, that Shabbos comes before Yisrael. Everything is great. It happens to be that the Bir Halacha says, by the way, that if a person skipped over the mention of Shabbos, he's not Yoitza. But if he skips over the mention of Yontif, he is, the Machlokes, the Chavetz Chaim seems to go with that. Tana Rabbana. Shabbos shechal liyos b'Rosh Chodesh. If Shabbos falls out of Rosh Chodesh, or b'Chol Shel Moed. Here, we're going to have Shabbos Chol Moed coming up now. Arvis v'Shachris u'Mincha mispalel sheva. So for Shachris Mincha Ma'ariv, or it starts by Ma'ariv, so you daven 7 brachas. V'oimer me'ein ha'ma'oira. You stick in Yalav v'Yavai ba'avoida by Ritzei. Sounds familiar? Yes, that's what we do. Ve'im lo yomar, and if he forgets Yalav v'Yavai, machzir no, so he has to repeat Shemona Esrei. Where you're supposed to say Al Anisim, You stick it in over there. Since I mentioned Ritzei, I want to point out we have the privilege in our shul. We have one of the best chazanim in the world. We have two of the better ones, but one of them, his name is Simcha Sasma. Right now he's in America. They hire him over there. So Simcha Sasman, almost every time when he gets to Ritzei, even on Shabbos, he cries. Well, he sings. Ritzei Hashem Eloi Kevebeinu. Yeah, fine. But when he in Moedim, because it's such a beautiful tefillah, we say it so fast. The Haidah, that we thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for just that we're alive, that we could see, that we could breathe, and all these things. Beautiful tefillah. But he, even on Shabbos, he gets choked up. Anyway, V'im lo yomar machzir noisoi. Rebbe Lezer oimer b'yidah, you say it by, you put the Yalav Yavai where Alanisim goes. Uba Musafim matchil b'shel Shabbos, Monsey b'shel Shabbos. And by Musaf, you start with Shabbos, you end with Shabbos. V'oimer kedushas hayoim be'emtza. And you mention Yontif in the middle. Bes yoim hasukas hazeh. But it ends off with Shabbos. Reb Shimon Gamliel Reb Shmuel Benoi anytime there's a 7 bracha shmona esrei, matchil b'shel Shabbos u'misayim b'shel Shabbos. V'oimer kedushas hayom be'emtza. So they hold that you don't do your own little thing, you don't finish off, you don't do anything, like we discussed. We passing like Rebbe that you finish off mentioning Yontif at the end of the bracha. Because Shabbos Yisrael v'azmanim. Omer Rav Chiya bar Rashi Omer Rav. We're talking about a person who forgot to make an eruv tchumen, eruv tavshilin, and Rashi says we're talking about a Thursday, Friday Yontif. Thursday, Friday Yontif going into Shabbos. 2-day Yontif going into Shabbos. So, what do you do? So, once again, Erev Tchumen. This individual, he wants to hear a drasha from a Rav that lives outside of the 2,000 Amma boundary that he's permitted to walk on Shabbos, let's say from the outside of the city. So let's say you live in Borough Park, from the U-Trip on. That's already B'chutz L'machna. So it's a different country. I don't know what it is over. No, over there it's different houses. Fine. Don't take this lalacha. So if you live in a certain place, you're at the borderline of your town. You only have 2,000 amas from that point. However, if you set up tent, you're kind of shvisa 2,000 amas out. So you have another 2,000 amas from that tent on. So you don't need a tent. All you need to do is put 2 meals down. But you forgot to put the 2 meals out. And it's a 2-day yontif. So what do? I want to be able to walk on Shabbos. So I make it tonight. On the first day of yontif, he said, listen, one of these 2 days is not even a yontif. It's just a suffix. I don't know what happened in Eretz Yisrael. I don't know when they were Mekadesh the month. I didn't get the notice yet. So I'm making a 2-day yontif. So if today is yontif, just ignore everything I did. And I'm going to do tomorrow. I'll make it tomorrow. And if today is not yontif, I'm making the Erev Tchumen right now. So Givaldik. So he does it twice. Sorry. And he makes it time. Points out Rashi, the only t'nai you need on a yontif, Erev Tavshilin, is the first day. Thursday makes a t'nai, and he says, listen, if today is yontif, ignore what I'm doing. I'm not doing it. And if it's not yontif, I'm making an Erev Tavshilin. But on the second day, that's it. So if it's yontif, he already made it yesterday. If it's not yontif, he's allowed to cook today. He doesn't have to make that deal. So we have Rav Chiya bar Rashi in the name of Rav. So you have Rav and Rava. Rav says he can make Erev Tchumen. Rava says he can make Erev Tavshilin. Says the Gemara, Rav who says Dama Erev Tchumen, Kachkin Erev Tavshilin. Erev Tchumen is much more chamor, as we'll see. So certainly Erev Tavshilin. Man Dama Rava who says Erev Tavshilin, Erev Tchumen loy. Rava only says you could do Erev Tavshilin. to allow you to cook, to eat. It's easier than walking outside of the Tchum on Shabbos. My time, the lemikne shvisa b'shapsaloi. Over here, the word shapsa, says Rashi, does not mean Shabbos, it means Yontif. And we don't allow you to take up a new residence on Yontif. That's illegal. Tana Rabbanon, ein oifen mi Yontif l'chaveroi. Beitzah, la'alacha. One day of Yontif to another day of Yontif, you cannot prepare. You can't bake bread on the first day of Yontif for the second day of Yontif. You can't bring wine out of your cellar for the second day. You cannot prepare. You can't do things. You can't set the table on the first day for the second day. Which is the lashon of Tzalach Moshe Sinai, and this is a sugya of ribu b'shiurim, the famous ribu b'shiurim, to add food on Yontif as you're cooking for the next day. So what do you do? You fill up a whole pot of meat. All she needs is one piece. If you're a baker, you fill up a whole barrel of water, even though you only need one cupful. But when it comes to bread, each bread is an individual bread. You have to remove each bread out of the oven individually. To put it in, take it out. So you can't, when it comes to bread, there's no ribu b'shurim. It's not like just another pot. Reb Shimon ben Elazar omer, mimali isha kolatanor pas, mipnei shapas nefas yofe bizman shatanor malei. So says Reb Shimon ben Elazar, if you have an oven like this, in those days they used to put the breads right up against the wall of the oven. So the smaller the oven and the more the breads, the better they bake. It takes up less room, there's less air, and the breads bake better. Now if you have a large oven, so Mamela what? Not so much in this case, I don't know if this would make a difference, more or less bread. Pretend that these are bigger breads and smaller oven. Then the bread, the extra bread that you put in, helps the cooking for Yontif, so that's okay. It seems like if it's a larger oven, it wouldn't be okay. Mimala Isha, the Rishonim Medayik, Isha, it's because this woman, not a baker that has a massive oven, this woman has a small oven, and that's the only way it's mutter. What? Nothing. Oh, that guy again. Mibnei Shabbos nefas yof b'zman shatanu molei. Omarova. I didn't make a bracha yet. Sorry, guys. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaroi. Omarova. Halacha Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. The halacha is like Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. So it comes out like this, because he says mimali isha tanur. When it's one motion, not like bread that's many motions, one motion, and you increase the quality of the food you're making, when you put in more meat into the chont, what happens? The chont becomes better. If you put another bread into the oven, what happens? If it's a small oven, the other breads bake better. If it's a large oven and you put a bread in, it doesn't do anything. So you're not allowed to. So you have to have these conditions. You have to have that it makes the food better, and it's only one motion. Fine. Question. If you forget to put an erev tafshilin, hu nesar or kimcha nesar? Is his flour aser? We'll see in a second what that means. Maybe the iser for him to bake is on him, but not on the food. Is he mechuyev to give over the flour to the guys that are helping him out? They're going to take his food and they're going to make it for him because he can't make food because he doesn't have eruv. Does he have to give it to them? Does he have to be makna or not? Well, you're allowed to carry.
What's the problem? Why can't he? Because he didn't make an eruv.
He didn't make eruv tafshilin. So he's usher to bake now. Now, is he usher to bake? All his belongings are usher? Is it like a knas? You can't touch any of his food? Or no, he's just not allowed to bake, but his product in his closet is okay. What's the difference?
If you can't bake, why is it not possible?
What?
There's no use for it. If you can't use it, it has no use.
No, somebody else could. You mean if nobody else could?
But if somebody came to him and want to borrow a cup of sugar,
Yeah.
making a cake, he would give him. Should be able
Okay, so let's see. La knuya kimcha acherim. He's saying, no, he's just saying a thing that if you can't use it, let's say it's a frozen piece of meat, and this food is it's also for him to bake, it's also for anybody to bake, then it would be mukta maybe. Does he have to give it over to the other guy? If Nesar means over here that he would have to give it over to them and it should be theirs. If you say that it doesn't become asr, so what's that law? If you didn't put down the erev tafshilin, you can't bake, you can't cook, and you can't even cover the food to keep the heat in. Hatmana. Can't do it for yourself, can't do it for others. So it says mufurish over here that others so no one could bake for him. They can't take his stuff and bake. So what do you do? So you see from here that you do have to be maknet, you have to be mezaket to the other guy, and only then they could bake it for you. The guy, he wanted to be over. Yeah? Shas is full of these guys. What happens if the guy decided, that's it, he's I don't care. I don't want to do it. I forgot my erev. I'm going to cook anyways. I need it. My kids are not going to have a steak. He does it anyway. Yeah, the same guy that sprinkles the blood above the red line on Yom Kippur because that's what he feels like doing. Why kacha? It's just there's never a guy like that. But theoretically, what happens if there is? So he went from Yontif to Shabbos. He was supposed to have Erev Tafshilin. He didn't make one. Now what? Toshma. If a person forgot, what does he do? We just said. Other people do it for him, turning to Daf Yomi Beis. Shouldn't it say a much better case? Forget about a guy that forgot. A guy that did it on purpose should be able to eat it. Obviously, it's not mutter to eat. Sponsored by the MDY Tehillim Group. For all those who need Shidduchim and Fuz Yeshuas, please join us at tehillim.imindaf.com. Sponsored by Natan Koshnud. Yeah, how do you pronounce? Koshnud. You don't know. You're his friend. You don't know. Okay, so how should I know? For a schus for my children, Akiva ben Dvaira and Yisrael Yaakov ben Dvaira, that it should be both do well in Yisrael. Have a cheshik v'Torah mitzvahs in Yerushalayim. He moved here for that purpose. Spoke to him in Los Angeles. He wants his kids to have cheshik and Torah Yerushalayim. V'isa.
Kashanud.
Oh, Kashanud. Okay, Hashem doesn't care about the last name. He cares about Ayikolav ben Dvaira. V'isa, listen, fine. Omer Rav Ada bar Masno. No right from here. Tana takanta de Torah katani. Why do you expect the Bryce to say, oh, and if a guy was over at Isser, he's allowed to eat it? The Bryce is talking about people that want to be Mekayim the Torah, not people that are Rishayim and go against the Torah. Takanta de Isser, like katani. Tashma. If you do place the erev tafshil, you can bake, you can cook, and you can do atmana. Once he's done, he could eat up his eruv. Gishmak, no, that hard-boiled egg. Everybody wants to eat that. If he ate the erev tafshil before he was able to bake, I guess it says it's supposed to be loy vashel. Not for him and not for others. If he wants, he can be vashel for Yontiv, and if he has left over, he eats it on Shabbos. You're not allowed to do any trickery. So it says like this: if you shouldn't do any trickery. Don't do trickery. So what's the obvious conclusion? You're not allowed to do trickery. In other words, I have a header to cook now. I have a pot. Don't do trickery and make a whole pot. But what if I didn't do trickery? I just put the whole pot on. I wasn't allowed to do even half a pot. Of course that's asur. Even the second half is asur. It's trickery you're not allowed to do. So of course I can't start from scratch and put it on. No? What's worse? Trickery or being over complete isser? Of course, being over complete isser. Wrong. Trickery is worse than being over a real isser. It's worse to do trickery than to do amazing. For this, we need to see amazing Rashi. Shani Arama. You see Rashi? 1/3 down, 1/4 down, 20% down. Shani Arama. La'olam of Arava Varama in a Raya. You can't bring in a Raya from trickery. The Shani Arama amazing, it's different. We could say that Chacham said we have to be more machmir and punish a guy that does trickery than amazing. Nobody is going to imitate him. They know that guy's a Rasha. What? A guy drives on Shabbos. I'm going to start driving on Shabbos? No. I love this line. The guy himself, this Rasha guy, the Rashi calls him Rasha, he's going to do tshuva himself. Which reminded me of a great story. I probably said it a week ago. There's a Gewaldige book, Just Love Them. Right? You go in America, about Rabbi Trank. You go in America, there's tons of bumper stickers that say MDY in it. I mean, Rabbi Trank, it says, just love them, just love them. You don't even have to start the book. The first story in the book, basically, is one of my favorite stories. I'm not a big reader, but this book touched me. Because this whole Mahal Chinuch, great guy. So, it's not even about Rabbi Trank, the story, and it's one of the best stories in the book. The story is that a guy, there was a kid in a camp. When did I say the story? I didn't say it? There's a guy in camp. Avi, tell me the truth. When did I say it?
Just keep telling the story.
I need to know when I said it.
Well, I didn't hear the story.
There's a kid in camp. A kid in camp, in his bunk, flips on the switch on Shabbos, and he starts laughing. So of course the kids tell the counselors. So Monsey Shabbos, they call the kid into the office, basically to tell him that he should pack his bags and leave. And as the kid is walking in, the head counselor remembers that they just had a hesped on Rabbi Trank. And he thought to himself, what would Rabbi Trank do in this situation? He just had a moment of inspiration. So he tells the kid, he goes, right, you flipped on the switch by mistake? So he said, yeah. And right, you laughed because you're just embarrassed? He's like, yeah. He said, okay, that's what I thought. That's okay, go back to your bunk. So the kid goes back to the bunk. And then he makes a 180 and he comes back. He says, Rebbe, when can we learn Hilchos Shabbos? And I forgot the end of the story. There's another piece that a woman... No, that's the main part of the story, but there's another piece that a woman told another lady the story. A woman said, you're not going to believe the story. Another said, she goes, you heard this crazy Maisa that happened in camp? And the woman goes, it was my son. But there's a little something else. Okay, fine. So Rashi says, look at this. I didn't say the story yet. Wow, Shmuly story. What would I say? I wouldn't say anything. Poof, right in the face. Nah, I don't know. I'm not very good at that. He himself, the kid himself, is going to chap that he made a mistake and he's going to do tshuva, but no, he's going to learn from him. Continues Rashi. But if a guy does trickery, he's not going to do tshuva because he's tricking himself. He thinks, he's Monsey Hecht. It's a little bit, I added a little bit. The worst part is other people watch him and they say, let's do the same thing. I saw Shlomo Zalman putting in a little bit more. You could do it. No, you can't do it. So Chacham made a big A big zach. Okay, fine. Bottom line is, let me ask you a question. What would you say if a bunch of Israelis are on a plane flying on Pesach night? Mamish, they go to the airport on Pesach night, they fly, and they want to eat matzah on the plane. They want to do a seder. Could the caterer give them matzah? Could he provide them matzah? What are you tying up? Harama, because they're mazid.
They're going to an emergency.
Kids are Yashav passing, you're not allowed to give them Tzchil Hashem. That they know that a frum guy is providing them matzahs even though they're Michal Shabbos. It's a big nidar. Fine. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Omar. Homani, Chanani, Valiba B'Shamai. This Bryce is somebody else. Don't worry about this Bryce. The Sanyo, Chananya Oimer, B'Shamai Oimrim. Enoifen Elam Kain Erev B'Pas, V'Mevashim Elam Kain Erev B'Tavshil. Listen to B'Shamai. He's Machmer. He says, the Talmid of Shammai, they say, you need a bunch of different Eruvim. If you plan on baking and cooking, you need two types. Two. So they're very Machmer. And if you want to do Atmana, bury it, you have to have something there before Yontif. What does that have to do with our sugis? Rashi says the Beitzah that answers food through trickery, it goes according to Bishamai. They're very machmer. You see, they're very machmer. And other things to the machmer over here as well. By the way, real quickly, how do we make erev tafshil and Beitzah? Bottom line. So everybody does think a matzah and an egg. So it's not so pashut. I mean, I see it everywhere, but why? According to what we just came out with, comes out, should have like a meat, something that you smear on bread, melafis, like we had yesterday, and something that you would have on the Shabbos and a Yontif. And I hate to say this, you know what comes to mind? What fits all these three categories? Something that you smear on bread, something that you eat only on Shabbos. Stefansky's, baby, Jonathan Stefansky. Chopped liver. Who eats chopped liver during the week? Nobody. And if you do, I rise from the shir right now. You're not here. It's like eating gefilte fish on a Tuesday. You cannot do it. It's also nobody. I rise. You eat gefilte fish?
Leftovers.
Oh, never. Never is good. Never and Svardim is good.
Leftovers.
There's no leftovers with the gefilte fish and chopped liver, okay?
What do you do with them on the Shabbat?
You throw it in.
What do you do with it's us to eat. What do you do with it? You give it to the dog. Fine. Nah. Go weiter. What do you do with the leftovers? So that's why you're over and you eat it on a Sunday? Because of this?
That was brought to you by Milmar.
Nah, Meister, Beis Shabbos. Yeah, what? Oh, very good kasha, very good kasha. He's asking, if we pass and all you need is one tafshil, why we do bread is for the afiyah, like Bishami say. So, because if you look over here in Taisus, the Rabbeinu Tam says that we should be machmer like him. Nobody holds like the Rabbeinu Tam really, but to be super machmer, but it's a very good point. Taisus over here. Omar, Rav, right over here, Taisus sticks in the Rabbeinu Tam, look over there. Fine. That's the halacha. The halacha is like basically, we always pass like Misilo, one is enough for everything. One tafshil. One egg is enough for baking also, but for whatever reason, we are machmer like, like in brachas, we said if you're machmer like B'Shamai, no, you could die for doing it. A lion came and ate that guy up because he was machmer like B'Shamai. Nan, Ama'as Perez B'Shabbos. Okay, I didn't bring the chart, no need, we already know about peh. But if you have a bunch of fruit, you have to take trumas and maisrus. You cannot do it on Shabbos. Why? Because it's misakimana. You're not allowed to fix things on Shabbos. But if you did it by mistake, because it's only Issa D'Rabbanan, you could eat it. So you see from over here that if you do it on your over, on Rabbanan, you're not allowed to. Okay, not a raya. You could be doich, I can say that. This case is talking about he has a lot of other fruit. It's not going to ruin his Shabbos. But over here, it's going to ruin his Yont if you don't allow him to eat. Tashma. Hamad will Kalov, B'Shabbos, you take a kli, you put it in the mikvah, I'm not going to tell you about the Maisa of the guy during Corona. He went to be Toivel's Kalim, and out came a chassid jumping out of the Kalim mikvah. And it's on video, and somebody sent me the video. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. What? Ask Meir Koenig, he has it. I erased it immediately. It wasn't so tznius. I'm saying it wasn't a joke. It was like the real thing. The guy's like, whoa, you toivel kalim in this little thing? Anichap. Okay. Fine. It says over here that if you're toivel a kli on Shabbos, you're not allowed to use it. Again, you're fixing the kli. And it says you're not allowed to use it. So you too, if you cooked food on Yontiv against the rules, you're not allowed to use it. No, again, same doichag. Maybe he's talking about a case. He has a lot of other kalim. But food, you don't have. They were tight then. You could borrow, but you can't borrow food. Nobody has extra food for you. You can borrow kli. Tashma, amavash b'Shabbos, b'shagi yoichal, b'mezid lo yoichal. Maybe I could bring a raya from Shabbos that if you cook, b'mezid, you're not allowed to eat. So too on Yontiv. No, what's the connection? Isur, the Shabbos, Shani. Shabbos is the Deraisa. We're talking about an Erev Tavshilin, which is the Rabbah. Beishamai say you need 2 different types of food. Over here it says Mefurish, not like that. Over here they're learning that Beisil also say you need 2. So then what's the machlokes in Beisil and Beishamai? Aman nechliku al dagu beitzah shalav schnitzel fish or fish and fries, whatever it's called, fish and chips. Yeah, fish and chips. Now, how would you just read these words over here? So Rashi explains different than what you would read. Rashi says, Bishamai hold that it's considered one food. In other words, Shnei Tavshilim, you need another one. Not Shnei Tavshilim. This is 2 Tavshilim. That's how I read it. That's how I understood it until I saw Rashi. No, it's considered one because the batter is batal and tuffle to the fish, and therefore you need another one. It's considered 2. Over here, you understand it's reverse. Tavshalechad means it's considered 2. You took tzvibel, whatever you want to call it, and you put it inside, you smash the egg and you put it inside the fish's mouth. You take some leek, yum, mush it all up and put it inside the fish's mouth. You know that gishmaka fish that we have on Rosh Hashanah night? That, shehein shnei tavshilin, it's considered 2. Why? Obviously, it's ayim tzvibel. Actually, ayim tzvibel is 3 probably, because tzvibel is, it's onions and a little egg. Fine. We just went through this, what the halach is, and now one more line. If you start doing dough, and afterwards you missed up, somebody took your eruv, goimer. Machlokes are showing exactly what this means. Are you allowed to finish all the malachos of Shabbos or just to finish up the bread? But at least the bread, we know for sure, according to everybody, if you start, you're allowed to finish. Have a wonderful day.